Okay, hello everybody. I am on my way to one of my work job destinations, and I've got about 24 minutes here, according to Google, to kill. So, figured I'd give everybody a little update. I had to step away from podcast production and everything for a while. Things got really intense in my life for a bit. My father, who I was estranged from my birth father for a number of years. I've spoken before about how my parents were in a cult that they put me and my siblings in for a number of years with them. That was the work of my mother and my stepdad. My stepdad pretty much raised me. Not a great person, but there's no, but he was trying, or anything. I'm not giving him any grace. Not a great person. Anyway, so yeah, my mother and my stepdad had effectively, along with my grandfather, who had real money and real influence, they shut my birth father out of my life. So I wound up getting raised by, someone else. Well, anyway, it's only been in the last couple of years that I've managed to reconnect with my birth father, and we speak about once a week or so on average, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on life. But yeah, he's been, it's been interesting. Yeah, I mean, just there are, it is funny. It is funny to me when I talk with him and we discuss things like family history that I didn't know about because I had no connection to my father's side of my family for most of my life. It's funny how making that reconnection, there are things that we fundamentally disagree on in the world, but making that connection with him has opened my eyes up to a lot of things that, about myself. I don't want to get into any details, but it has helped out quite a bit. Well, anyway, my father has been he's been in, I don't want to say bad health for a long time, but he certainly hasn't been or lived the healthiest life while trying to live his best one. And so he is currently about to undergo his second triple bypass in his life. And I won't tell you all where he is or whatever, but needless to say, it's a really big deal. And he's got insurance that's covering the whole thing, so I'm not having to, seek out ways to run a GoFundMe for him or anything like that. His insurance is good enough. It's covering the whole thing, and he has done right by me in that if he doesn't make it, I will be set up comfortably. I will still have to work, but I will be set up comfortably to handle life a lot easier than if I had never reached out. I think that's the extent I can say on that, except that, trying to, I know that he's got this surgery coming up, and I've known for a while prior to this surgery, this just kind of happened over the last week or so. I've known for a while prior to this upcoming surgery that, his days were pretty numbered. And I've been trying to really get as much phone time in with him as I can. We've talked before about how our family, me and Matthew and everybody else, how we all moved, from Florida to Minnesota. Well, my old man was so put out by my grandfather's threats that he did not reside in Florida. My grandfather, like I said, had serious threats and pull, and yeah, so the closest that my dad ever got to being anywhere close to me was in Georgia for most of my life. He bounced around the Midwest and stuff with, work and things like that. But yeah, for most of my life, unbeknownst to me, he was an hour and a half away, Because when I say it was a no contact affair, it was a no contact affair from the time I was like 8 years old straight through most of my adult life. But anyway, so I'm trying to like pack in as much time with him as I can. So I've spent a lot of time on the phone with him, just getting to know more about him and more about that side of my DNA and my family. Fortunately, his mind is mostly there, and he's passed along quite a bit of information, things that click with me in a way that I would not have thought of on my own, such as it turns out I have a lot of personality and life characteristic similarities, I'll say, to my father's father, so my paternal grandfather, who I never met. I think he died before I was born. He died when my dad was, I think, around 18 or so, he said. So yeah, he's been gone for quite a while, but a lot of things skip a generation, and it seems a lot of things have skipped a generation in this case. It's wild to hear about, but yeah, so aside from all of that, kind of taking up a lot of my mental time and fortitude and dealing with, because it's not easy knowing that his health isn't great and hasn't been great for a long time. But yeah, that's a lot for me to deal with right now. And also, Matthew started school again. He got tired of the fuck shit that happens at his job. It's nothing incredibly bad, but he wants to have some education and do better for himself. So he found a local trade school, I'll put it that way, where he can get training in the trade that he has wanted to do for a while. And fortunately, the schooling to get him in a job in the industry he wants is not that long nor impossible. He's not going to be saddled with student debt. It's a really great program, and we support him entirely. He went to reduced hours at his job, and so now we are trying to work things out as a family, for helping him out with transportation, work and school, and being just generally supportive of his decisions. He's as eager to get back to filming the next episode as I am. I just have to finish writing the damn thing because I've had to take time off. In addition to the shit with my past, my father, and the stuff with my son, I have also, again, sparing details just because, like, doxing, but I was run off the road recently in my car. All that I really know from the scene was that it was a driver in a black SUV with Texas plates. We were on a curvy road. I don't want to say where, but it was out while I was moving between stores. I dropped off a customer's stuff, and I popped off to a parking lot nearby in their neighborhood. I ate my lunch, and then I just drove. Like, I picked up another order, and I was driving about 10 minutes away to get to it. And I'm on this really curvy road that has double lines, and it's 35 miles an hour because it's a curvy road. And again, asshole with a Texas SUV decided that me going the speed limit on this dangerous road was not quite enough, and bolted around me and ran me off the road, and I ran into a fire hydrant with my car. And fortunately, I'd slammed on the brakes and the car's safety mechanisms kicked in. The airbag didn't deploy. The fire hydrant did get drug under my car because it was on like this grassy patch of road. And so naturally I called the police. Of course, I didn't have my dash cam running at the time. That is no longer an issue. But yeah, so fire hydrant gets dragged under the car. I was able to walk away from it. I was actually able to drive the car 20 miles to get it to my collision center. And I got it over there and got checked in, went through the whole insurance shit back and forth over about a 2 or 3 week period. And finally, my insurer totaled my vehicle, which I really wasn't expecting. Because there was no damage to the actual, I drive an EV, there was no damage to the actual battery. But yeah, it was, they declared it done. So I was like, okay, well, I need a new vehicle. Well, that sent me into a little bit of a spiral getting all of that done. I am currently in my new vehicle that I love dearly. But it's been a ride, these last several weeks, just between the business with my father and, Matthew's schooling and other life events that, okay, I will try to give you all a little bit more insight here. I am super concerned right now about recording from our house. It has nothing to do with doxing. It doesn't. What it has to do with, though, is that one of Matthew's siblings has developed a condition that makes their face feel like it's being like half of the nerves in their face are being like wrung out like a rag and on fire. This has been an ongoing issue for, it feels like a year now. And they go through waves of it. Some days it's worse. Some days it's just worse. It's an autoimmune condition. They went through an MRI. They went through like a facial pain center. That cost a lot of money. It's been pretty terrible, and the attacks that they suffer cannot be predicted. They can sometimes go an entire day, no issues, and then out of the blue, just it happens. And when it happens, the pain is so searing hot and just horrifying that all they can do is cry loudly. And look, I'm serious when I say that it's loud enough that I don't want it coming over the audio on our recording. So among the many things that I have to try to figure out here is a day for me and Matthew to go and sit in like one of our local library meeting rooms, which thank goodness there are so many here. Minnesota's awesome like that. There are other places we could do a recording. We have options, but a lot of it comes down to scheduling and stuff. And I haven't brought up to the relative in question that we're not going to be able to record at home, just because I don't want them to feel bad. It is a debilitating enough condition. I really don't want to lay any kind of guilt on it, even if it is reality based, and we all know there's nothing we can really do for them except help them ride it out. So yeah, that's all reasons why we just haven't been able to record shit, and why I really I've been stuck on the last 12 minutes of the Candace episode that I've been working on. It is shot in the dark, episode 18, and the episode itself, I'm not sure if I said this during the last Update-A-Sode or not, but the episode itself is a real hard one to get through, man. There's a lot of dead kids in this episode. Like, a lot. More than... And with direct stories and names and shit that, typically, if we talk about measles, for example, right? Of course, one could find personal stories about measles online. That is not an issue with the internet. My problem with doing this episode is that the cases that I've been looking at are way closer to modern times. There are definite victims, and as we get into in the script, those definite victims are used as just content for her, and it really pisses me the fuck off because beyond just the sheer absurdity of her talking points, these are all real victims that have real stories that she, of course, in no way tries to learn anything about. And the information, by the time she's gotten around to the stories that she brings up, the cherry-picked stories that she uses, those stories had all had time to come out. I mean, it's a constant theme with our research that she just, she'll roll with a clickbait headline or some bullshit and not bother going any deeper. It's especially egregious in these. And, I won't lie when I say that the second story I had to look into really just set my nerves on fire, and I had to walk away from the work for a while anyway because I was emotionally upset, angry, and just so damned angry. But today's a new day. I have a new car. My father is in a place where he is being monitored and seen to by professionals, and it's, out of my hands what happens with him. I'm hoping that I don't get an emergency contact call. I'm hoping that everything pulls through. I mean, look, my father, we do not get along politically at all. But he's taken steps that he has shown me that my family will be taken care of beyond my own lifespan. And I'm not saying he's bought my love or my loyalty or anything, but he's certainly made up for not being able to be around. And he always makes time to speak with me, when I call him, when he's available. And it just sucks that, it took as long as it did for me to be able to reach out to him and connect and, do what I can here. So, that's it. That's all that I have for now. I honestly do not know if we're going to be able to crack out our next episode this month. I'm going to give it my best, and hopefully we can. And I hope that the next Update-A-Sode that I have is a short one where I can let y'all know a date and a time to expect it in your feeds. But that's it for now. I'm going to cut this off. I am near my destination. So I wish everybody the best. As I record this, Trump has agreed to a memorandum of understanding that he has been very eager to sign. He signed last night in Versailles, France, as far as I know. And yeah, the man sucks. He sucks. He lost a war.
Navigate to the name is not recognized. Please say
that's
the
my
play's
car.
name. Go back. Please canceling voice.
That was my car. Yes. It's another Nissan. Not a Leaf, though. An Ariya. Or an Ariya, depending on how we're pronouncing it. But, yeah, I don't really have anything else. Trump lost a war that he shouldn't have started. And that's life. Yep. I am glad that he is a national embarrassment, international embarrassment, yet again. And for some reason, we still don't have the Epstein files. So, it is what it is, as we always say. But, again, y'all, it's been a real ride this last month and a half, and I don't know where things go from here, but I will be jumping back into podcast production, and we will continue this train ride. All right, that's it, everybody. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening. Goodbye.